2023 has been a really good year for crochet. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is my channel, Slow Crochet. Today I want to talk about my year in review. I want to talk about 2023, and I've been thinking about not only all the things that I crocheted in 2023, but also what an interesting year it has been. So I just wanted to kind of go over some of my favorite things that I made this year, both while I've had this channel and before having this channel. And I also wanted to just talk about the things that I've learned and the way that I've grown in the craft this year. At time of recording, it's not even Christmas yet, but I always get really reflective around this time of the year. And it's been really fun just realizing where I was with crochet in January of 2023 and then where I am now. And so I'm not sure if you've had a similar journey, if you've had a lot of learning this year, if you've tried new things, but I hope that as you reflect on your year, that you can remember a lot of good times in this craft. So I do want to talk about some of the favorite things that I've made this year. I was trying to put them into categories, but that's a little bit difficult. I do crochet kind of slow, and so for the bigger projects it takes me a bit longer, but I tend to be more proud and more satisfied when I finish something that took me a long time. So in that regard, several of those projects fit into that category of long-term projects, but very rewarding in the end. The first thing that I want to talk about is something that I've never shared on this channel before, but that is my Scandinavian-inspired or Nordic-inspired Christmas Afghan. This was something that I decided I wanted to do as an heirloom for the family, and it's made out of Premier Wool Select in a DK weight, and I believe the colors are parchment, brick, and charcoal. And what I was trying to do was find some stitch patterns where I could vary them up a little bit and create bands of color. And I wanted a DK weight because I wanted to have really nice drape on it. So this was my first time working with Premier Wool Select. I really enjoyed it. And the patterns that I chose to add into this Afghan were, I think it's the thicket stitch, which I saw a tutorial from Bag a Day Crochet. And I believe it's the railroad stitch, and I think that's knitting with chopsticks. And then I also just did some bobble stitches and some cross double crochets in there as well. And then the edging on it is like a bead stitch. Y'all, this thing took me months to do, and I certainly didn't finish it in time for Christmas, but I did finish it in January. So I wanted to include it in this list because it's really is the first big project. Like, it's the biggest thing I've ever made. And also it's the first thing that I really designed myself. I did take the time to do some swatches. I workshopped all these different stitches that I was going to choose, but then I threw away the notes on it because I thought I'm never going to make this again. So I just tossed those all out. So sadly, I don't have a lot of information if you wanted to recreate something like this. I do think I have a project note in Ravelry that links to some of my inspiration. But it was one of those things where I had in my mind what I wanted this blanket to be. I wanted it to be semi-minimalistic, and I didn't see that it existed. So I thought, all right, this is a time where I just need to create the thing because there's not like a pattern out there already that I could easily access. So that is the first thing on my list of things I am so glad I made in 2023. The second thing on my list of 2020, like favorite 2023 crochet projects, is actually the top I made for Crystal over at Bag a Day's contest. So over the summer, she ran a contest saying, hey, use some of my stitch tutorials and create a wearable garment. This is what I came up with. It's a kind of crop top using the clamshell stitch. And I used some yarn that I had on hand that I picked up at the Hobby Lobby clearance. And normally I wouldn't have gone for these colors per se, or I would have done something solid, but I wanted to shop my stash, and so this is what I had on hand that went together. It's not that I wear it all the time, but it really boosted my confidence. When I made it, I had so much joy because I was really doing something original and seemed to be true to myself. I found so much joy in making it, and I felt my confidence really grow. And when I do wear it out, I do get compliments. And maybe that's because it's a thicker crochet object, and so it's a little bit unusual. It's not something you're going to find in stores. And maybe because when I wear it out, I like to wear it when I go yarn shopping, just because that's just fun, isn't it? Wear something handmade when you go yarn shopping. When I look at that piece, I think of who I was before and who I've become after. And I think it really started with stepping out and trying it and trying to figure it out. And so maybe the learning curve on that is why I can look so fondly at this piece here at the end of the year. Another piece that was a big project was my white cotton dress. This is one that I started soon after I started this channel, and actually I had a bit of a story in picking out the yarn. The yarn for this was a DK weight cotton from Hobby Lobby. I think it was a sugar wheel cotton. And when the clearance was happening, their yearly clearance, I had seen some people had these sugar wheel cottons, and I was at the time thinking about making a dress that would be appropriate for a tropical vacation. And so I called my nearest Hobby Lobby, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit, and I was praying and thinking like, okay, this would be a magnificent thing to have. I would love to be able to find these particular yarns. I would love to find some white cotton yarn to make a dress out of. And I was looking at different dress patterns and trying to get in my head about what my yardage requirements might be. But long story short, I ended up finding, I think, 7 of the sugar wheel cottons, and that to me was magnificent. No one had picked over them yet, and I did get all 7 of them, and I used 6 of them in this project. The 7th I used for something else. But in making this, number 1, it was a story of perseverance. Number 2 is a little bit of trial and error in terms of making it fit. And even though I did use a pattern from a book, I kind of deviated from that as well to make it more of the shape I wanted. And you can see in some of my earlier videos that I'm still working on that. So this one to me felt like an achievement, but it also felt like a lot of hope. So when I was making this, I was really hoping that my husband and I would be able to get away on a tropical vacation. That still might happen, but for now it remains this place of joy and hope, underpinned by the seemingly miraculous acquisition of this clearance yarn. Because even in watching other people's videos at the time, I don't think anyone was getting white or this quantity of white. So the fact that I found it, I find that to be an answer to prayer. It was a really sweet thing. My last wearable that I am really proud of and I'm really pleased with for 2023 is my Christmas sweater. This is the first pullover sweater that I'd ever made. I've made a couple of cardigans. I made this cardigan, but this is my first time doing raglan sleeves and doing something in the round. This is also the first time I worked with Red Heart Super Saver stripes in retro stripes, and there is so much joy in that, just the colors in general. This was a project with a lot of learning to it, and part of it was that construction technique of doing the raglan sleeves, but the other side was really trying to work with carrying yarn to create the Christmas tree in the middle. I am so pleased with how this turned out, and I have been wearing it to church in the Christmas season in December, and I will be wearing it on Christmas Eve to service. This is one of my favorites of this year just because it's so joyful. Sometimes I forget to have fun with what I wear, but this is just pure fun. It has been such a delight. And if I were any faster at making it, I'm sure I would be able to take in lots of commissions, but that's not going to happen. So this is a one-off for sure. My favorite accessory from this year is my Seafarer's cap, which I made a while ago, and it is predominantly slip stitches. It's a lot of back loops only. It's a lot of slip stitches. This thing took a while to make. I made it quite a bit bigger than the pattern called for, but I love how it turned out. Normally when I do hats, I like them to come together a bit more quickly, but there was something so rewarding in how the slip stitches on the brim turned out and how the shaping at the crown turned out, that even though that made it take a whole lot longer of a time, the effect was, in my opinion, very much worth it. This has become one of my go-to hats. I don't often wear it here in the videos. I like to wear a variety of things, but this one is one that I will reach for time and time again. The brim folds up nicely, so it's nice and cozy around the ears. And it's such a bright and joyful color, and it's quite warm. So of all the hats I've made, and I have made quite a few, this is one that was my favorite for 2023. 2023 has also been the year of Amigurumi for me, which I never thought I would ever say. And I'm sure that every time I mention Amigurumi, I always have to disclaim that this is not what I naturally gravitate towards. But y'all, I've made a lot of Amigurumi this year, and I have to say my favorite has been the toad. Well, the frog, but it's by Complicated Knots, and I made a little frog, gave that as a gift, and made the second one, this toad, that has been on my Christmas tree. I've done a handful of Amigurumi this year, a handful of little crochet toys, but this frog pattern is just so delightful. I need to actually make quite a few more. I don't even know what I would do with them, but Kylie's tutorial is so wonderful in my opinion. It's so clever and straightforward. I love how naturalistic it looks, and I love how sweet and approachable it is. And it really wasn't intimidating at all. Kylie does a wonderful job of explaining and demonstrating and showing. And I've learned a lot of technique just from her tutorials. Even if I don't make the thing, but just watch her. It's amazing the way that her mind works as an amigurumi designer. It's amazing to me sitting here towards the end of December thinking of the things that I've made in amigurumi, because I never thought I would. And yes, it does take a bit more time for me. It's a little bit of a labor of love. I'm really glad that I've stretched and grown in that direction. Even if it's not somewhere where I'm going to camp out that often, it still feels really good to know that when something strikes, that I'll be able to grab hold and enjoy that amigurumi space as well. Tangential to anything that I actually created with crochet, 2023 was the first year that I expanded my hook repertoire. This was the year that I found vintage hooks and hero hooks. I never really understood why anyone would need more than one hook of a certain size, but now I get it. My collection of crochet hooks is still relatively small in my opinion. It's just right for me. But for example, I now have 3 different size eyes, and they're all different. I also have a couple of different versions of a size K hook. One of them is vintage and one of them is more modern. By acquiring these new tools, it's made crochet really interesting. It's helped me think about the art in a different way, think about the movements, think about the positions of hand, like everything that we're doing in crochet is such a fine motor thing. It's really fascinating how different tools, how the small differences and how these hooks are created and shaped can lead to different results. Not vastly different results, but affect the way that we experience the art as we're creating. So that has been a joy for me. Another joy has been Tunisian crochet. Now, I have only done 2 things in Tunisian crochet, but the hooks that I acquired were vintage hero hooks, and those not only have been joys as tools, but using them in Tunisian has been really wonderful. My favorite here has been my Tunisian simple stitch cowl, which I grab to stay cozy. I love the colors. I love how it turned out. And again, that was another project that took quite a bit of time, relatively speaking, but it was so satisfying working on it. So when I think about 2023, I think it has been a year of growing and trying new things and having new experiences in this art that I've been participating in for many years of my life, with a lot of memories at different points of time attached to it. I certainly don't want to leave out the fact that I did start this YouTube channel in 2023, so I'll tag that on at the end as something interesting, noteworthy. Is it my favorite? Well, my favorite really is getting to connect with y'all and being able to talk crochet. I really do enjoy having this channel. I enjoy coming up with ideas for videos and filming and editing, and even editing, that's kind of one of my more favorite parts of it. I love getting to connect with y'all. I love the other YouTubers that I've connected with since I've started my channel, and people in the comments that I see time and again who are just so wonderful and encouraging, and it's really beautiful to have so many different people that we can connect with in this art form. You know, we crocheters are few and far between, and I certainly hope that your 2023 has been brighter because we've gotten to be in each other's lives. It really does. Y'all really have made a big difference for me. This has been the most wonderful year in crochet in my life so far, and I can only imagine it's going to get better. So thank you to everyone who has been part of this channel from the beginning. Thank you to all the other YouTubers that we've connected with. Thank you to everyone who is consistently kind and who shares and likes and comments and subscribes. All those little things that are just encouraging on this journey. I'm really thankful for the ability and the grace to be able to put these little videos together and throw them out into the wild of the internet and to have them so well received. You have made 2023 the beautiful year in crochet that it has been. I genuinely do appreciate you. If I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I really do appreciate you, and I really do hope I'll see you again. Bye.